Welcome everyone to our webinar, CompuMail, highlighting the true potential of Post-Presort. I'm Teresa Chang, Marketing Promotion Specialist here at Satori Software, and your moderator for the next hour. A few housekeeping items. If you have any questions at any time during the presentation, feel free to send them over. You can submit them in the box on your right. We'll try to get through as many questions as we can at the end of the presentation. However, if we don't get around to answering all of them, we'll make sure to follow up with those ones afterwards. Just a heads up, this session is being recorded and will be available on our website along with the presentation slide deck. All right, so we have three special guests joining us today: Michael Vitch, President of CompuMail; Richard Baker, Vice President of Operations; and our very own Joe Bailey, Director of Monticello Solutions. Here's a little bit of background on each of our speakers today. Michael Vitch is the President and co-owner of CompuMail. He's been with the company since 1995 and was promoted to his current role in 1997. Prior to CompuMail, Michael was President and Partner in Icon Direct Incorporated, a direct marketing agency in Buffalo and Rochester, New York. Before that, he started his career with HSBC Bank, formerly Marine Midland Bank, in management. Our next guest is Richard Baker, who is the Vice President of Operations for CompuMail. He's been with CompuMail for 12 years, and prior to his current role at the company, he spent 10 years in print production and manufacturing. And last but not least, Joe Bailey, who's our Director of Monticello Solutions here at Satori Software. He was one of the founding partners of Monticello Software and serves on the Mail.dat working group and the Mailing Software Developers Group of ID Alliance. In addition, he participates on several MTAC groups in conjunction with USPS. Okay, I'm so glad you all were able to take some time out of your busy schedule to talk to us today. Okay, so today's webinar will be presented in an interview style. You'll get to hear firsthand from CompuMail as they talk about the value-added benefits of the Post-Presort solution and how it has helped their operation run more smoothly. Plus, you'll get to hear a little bit more about their organization and hear firsthand what they actually do in terms of being in the postal industry. So we do have a lot to cover, so I'm going to hand it off to Joe Bailey, who will kick things off.
Thanks, Teresa. Yeah, I get the easy part. I just get to fire off the questions. So let me get started. And I wanted to give people a little bit of perspective more about CompuMail. Rich and Michael, maybe you guys could tell us a little bit more about CompuMail and what kind of mailing services you guys specialize in.
Sure. This is Michael. Rich and I are on the same line. Our CompuMail is an integrated marketing services provider. We provide data-driven marketing solutions to help our clients who need to optimize their customer relationships. Specifically, anything in your mailbox or inbox can be handled by us on behalf of our clients. To help us facilitate that, we've built, over the last 18 years, built a very large and sophisticated print variable data and mail production operation, which includes an in-house detached mailing unit from the United States Postal Service that allows us to optimize our mail production from this location. But approximately 10 million pieces of mail monthly and between 5 and 10 million emails monthly is roughly the size of the operation.
Gotcha. And you guys specialize in a geographic area, or are your customers on a national level?
National level, some in Canada, but the majority, because we're close to Canada, the majority are Northeast, but we do have clients in California, Florida, Georgia, Illinois, on top of Northeast clients. And but most of our clients have large customer bases, so they have locations and customers across the country.
And what kinds of mailings do you normally do?
Okay. Yeah, what kinds of mailing do? We're mostly, the majority of our work is marketing communication, so it's mostly advertising mail. We do provide some transactional mail, notifications, statements, invoices, But the majority of our work is really the data-driven, variable ad mail. So a lot of what we do is personalized advertising messages to targeted customers at hopefully at the right time that they're going to make a buying decision.
Are we talking about standard mail letters and some first-class letters?
Yeah, our mix is everything from flats, dimensionals, straight on down. If we look at the majority of what we mail, probably the majority of what we mail would be a standard letter pack. A great deal of self-mailers, postcards, and some first class. I would say our load, though, is probably 10% first class, 90% standard mail.
Gotcha. What would you say would be the size of a normal job for you in terms of number of pieces?
Number of pieces? Probably our average is probably going to be a little higher than many of your customers. Probably 100,000 pieces is probably an average size run. We do things, because we have digital presses, we do some runs as short as 500 pieces, but I'd say our sweet spot is probably 100,000. We do, we certainly drop, we have a number of customers with larger needs, and we do programs as big as 4 million pieces at once.
Gotcha.
It just depends on the client and what they're doing.
And do you ever do any work in partnership with other mail preparation companies? Somebody that might be on the phone that might want to have you do some of the more advanced services for them?
Yeah, all the time. We supply services in our market. We're Western New York, which is Rochester, Buffalo, New York. We provide services to many advertising agencies, so intermediaries, as well as many other printer mailers who just don't have sophistication and don't have the complete equipment to get things done. But yes, we do a lot of partnering with others to help them serve their clients.
Great, great. So you use multiple products from Satori software, correct? Can you sort of the products that you have from Satori?
Sure. Yeah. Well, the entire PostalSoft suite for all our, file work automation, and Monticello for the post sortation work, which we're going to talk about today.
Good deal. Good deal.
Yes.
So let's get into, as far as the way things are working, you have a very organized, it looks like, sounds like a very sophisticated mailing operation. In your operation, what are some of the things that are really challenging you in the current market?
Yeah, well, there's lots of things that are challenging. I guess the biggest things for us is we have to manage the cost to put a piece of mail into the mail. We have to reduce the amount, and that includes labor as well as hard costs. We're trying hard to automate every piece of the process that we can. We've done very well with most of it, and your products have helped us with a lot of things. And certainly we need to be compliant with the ever-changing regulations that the USPS allows us to work under. We're in a unique business in that if we go out and get $1 from a customer, the majority of that $1 is going to the Postal Service, and we're really their salespeople. But we want to make sure that works as the best it can. We want to control the time in home for a lot of the work that we're doing. We want to be able to track that. We want to be able to manage that process, those are some of the challenges, some of the reasons that we work with Satori and use your products.
Thanks. Now, some of the folks on the phone probably are asking themselves, sort of, why would I use a Post-Presort product? And so I thought, that really varies depending on your situation, but maybe you could give us an idea of why you decided that you needed Post-Presort functionality.
Yeah, I think Richard should answer this.
Our big decision came down to the dropship opportunity we saw using the Post-Presort software. And the flexibility and capabilities that the software had, not to mention some of the other benefits that came with it, with manipulating statements, after. With some of our customers, they like to pull things back after they've been completed, and it's very easy for us to edit statements and things like that inside the Monticello product. That on top of the dropship, being able to load freight tables, being able to get a complete breakdown of the FCF and NDCs is a big plus for us.
At a high level, I don't want you to go into too much detail, but I think many folks don't really understand post-presort entry point optimization, the concept. Can you describe that?
Sure. You know, from a very basic level, when you enter things at your local post office, you're only capitalizing on your local postal SCF rates. By running it through the Monticello software, you're able to figure out how many SCFs inside that mailing you can go to. So you can actually physically look at, if you have mail going to Charlotte, North Carolina, you can look at the SCF and check out the SCF rates that you would get from Charlotte, North Carolina, compare that against your fuel costs, and then make a business decision whether or not it makes sense for you to drop that shipment into South Carolina and save postage versus dropping it locally at your post office.
So it's that comparing the opportunity to save money to the cost that is the advantage of the post-presort versus establishing it in the presort itself in a more non-dynamic way.
Yes, for us it works great in the post-presort level because you have the flexibility of once you do it up front, you're locked in. At the end, you can add, you can subtract, you can do multiple things. It allows us a lot of flexibility because things are dynamic and things change.
Gotcha. And so are you still producing paper statements, or are you doing everything? I know you are mostly full service at this point, right?
We are mostly full service. We are doing some paper statements on some things, but for us, we were ready for full service, ready to capitalize on the eDoc. So we are actually producing all of our postage statements through the post-presort.
Okay.
And we are submitting them electronically, and actually through our shop, we actually have them. We use an MRP system here, and we actually link them through the MRP system, and people have access to those postage statements on screen versus having hard copy statements.
Gotcha. So you use the post-presort software to do partial releases from sometimes, right?
Yes, correct.
Can you describe what we mean by partial releases?
So basically, you have a mailing for X amount of pieces. Maybe all of it's not done, only the customer wants to mail some of it, or maybe you only have postage for half of it. You can actually go into Monticello and you can manipulate the statement and subtract trays, subtract pallets, create new pallets, and create new postage documentation very quickly with the correct postage amount instead of handwriting these statements and subtracting or using an Excel spreadsheet in a matter of minutes. It's very flexible, it's very easy to do, and we actually do it a lot.
Got it. And do you have a need sometimes to correct other things like piece weights or mailing dates?
Absolutely. Piece weights and weights are a factor all the time. Mailing dates, I mean, we go through, especially on the eDoc side, you have to switch dates up a little bit, and mailing weights are an issue for us sometimes. So then the other added benefit too is if you, on your pre-sort up front, let's just say the piece specs are not what the client suggested, you can go in and you can actually create A and B tray tags very easily through the Monticello system. We've done that quite a few times.
Gotcha. And what about spoilage?
Spoilage. Spoilage for us occurs, yes, and we are able to go in and take those records out from the tray level. If you're missing 5 from tray 20, you subtract the 5 records from that tray. You can print out a new tray tag and print out a new postage statement at the drop of a hat.
Gotcha.
Make the change on the fly and get it out.
So it sounds like you guys have saved a lot of time, a lot of money in your mailing operation using the post-presort. Do you think that small or medium-sized mailers can justify this kind of a tool as well?
Absolutely. I would have loved this tool when we were first starting out.
Good deal.
It would have been great. The post-presort world to me is fantastic because there's the flexibility, and I think we're still, scraping the surface of what we can really do with this tool. I highly recommend it, yeah, even for small mailers.
And you at some point decided that you probably needed a Post-Presort tool. And now how'd you go about figuring out which Post-Presort was going to be the best for you?
Well, that's a good question. We actually demoed some other products, and what we found for us and our workflow was very, the product did not, it wasn't as user-friendly for us. We couldn't walk right up to the other product and navigate our way through. And then the other plus, your product allowed us to go in. It's pretty simple. Things are separated pretty well throughout the product, and also your customer support was fantastic for us. There was one gentleman in particular who was very solid and helped us, navigate through the product. He was with us hands-on all the way through and took the time to understand not what the product can do, but what we were trying to do with the product, and that was very important for us. Because people try to sell you a product that they think you should use it this way. He really took time to understand what we were trying to do and then showed us how to do that with your product.
Gotcha. Yeah, one of the things I wanted to ask you about in the functionality area is in the pre-validation for Postal One.
Yes.
That the Post-Presort software does. Does that help you out?
Absolutely. We just talked about that because for us, we do the validation through Monticello first, so it's a lot easier for us, and the error messages are a lot clearer than what you will see from Postal One. So we can go back and address those issues right away, and without the hassle of submitting it through Postal One, trying to decipher what they say to the USPS, take the file out, resubmit. It's a lot cleaner, a lot easier for us to validate through Monticello.
Gotcha. Well, that's really good. So let me ask you about full service. You guys have gotten ahead of the curve, and you've gotten most of your mailings in full service. Given what the Postal Rate Commission ruled a couple of weeks ago and what the Postal Service came back with last Friday, that is, they put off the mandate to do full service. They postponed it beyond January 26th, which was quite a surprise to everybody in the industry, I think. Do you recommend that folks move forward with full service at this point?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, the way we look at it from a marketing perspective, or from the advantage, there's still a lot of value in using the IMB, and there's a lot of value for us when we are, with many of our clients, we're focused on an in-home date. Because we're focused on an in-home date, we, they want to know when their call center is going to start lighting up. So the advantages of using IMB is just that alone. Set aside the postal discounts, but the fact that we can have a much better handle on that last scan before the mail is delivered is very, very valuable. Gotcha.
So as folks are moving forward and they're making their decisions about possibly implementing Post-Presort solutions and moving into full service, folks that haven't yet done those things, what kind of advice would you give them?
I would take the time, and I would really understand what it is you're trying to do. And really, for us, we stumbled through it and we kind of learned, and we learned a lot through the process, and that was because we kind of didn't define it for ourselves where we were trying to map out to. And I think that's pretty important.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I really appreciate that, the time that you guys have taken. I'm going to turn it back over to Teresa now for any questions that anybody has that are on the line.
Great. Thanks, Joe. And thank you to both Michael and Richard for sharing your user experience and really letting our listeners out there know the benefits and the perks of using Post-Presort and how it's helped you guys in your mailing operation. And as I mentioned earlier, we'll try to get through as many questions as we can. And if you have any questions after the webinar, feel free to contact Joe Bailey by either phone or by email. And I have his contact information listed right there in front of you. Let me see what questions we have. Let's see, we have one right here. And this is for, I guess this would be for all three of you guys. How are things looking in the mailing industry now, in your opinion? and what do you see happening in 2014?
I think we're going to see continuing reduction in the amount of first-class mail. We will see, and that's based on just companies, sending notices, statements, and invoices electronically, and the further adoption of people using online banking and those sorts of things. You're going to get your bank statements online. All those things are going to start happening more and more. On the advertising mail side, I think it's really good because it's kind of funny. You're getting your statement emailed, but if someone emails you an advertising piece, it's called spam, and you get upset about it. So what's happened to the electronic communication world is you have to be very, very sophisticated, very good to land in an inbox. That's the first thing. You have to be good. And then people have, even for communications they requested through email, people are actually turning it away. And we do a lot of email, so we're really focused on making that channel work for our clients. So we really see the value in relevant direct mail, targeted, personalized, relevant direct mail. And I think the volumes on that side of the house, that side of the business, will continue to increase. We've seen increases. We think it will continue to increase for us. Clients that we're working with are going to be spending more money communicating with their customers in the mail. So I think that's a great, for the mailing industry, I think it's a pretty good opportunity. I would want to be on the ad mail side of the business. That's really, well, I'm glad we're on that side. I don't know, Joe, you got any different ideas?
From a software vendor point of view and serving our customers, what we see is that there's going to be a real acceleration in terms of change. And everybody in the industry, mail service providers, mailers, are going to have to get on board with the change even more so than in the past. It has seemed like it's happening very quickly in recent years, but 2014 is going to be on steroids. And there are going to be new schedules for the postal directories for labeling lists and mail direction files that are going to come out monthly, and it's going to pose some challenges, especially for smaller mailers, to figure it all out, what it means in terms of running their pre-sort and running their post-pre-sort. And so with all of the changes that are happening in January, there are going to be a lot of questions and a lot of confusion about new postage statements, FSS mailings, e-induction, all happening at once. And then throughout the year with these labeling lists and mail direction changes, it's going to compound the potential for confusion. So I would just say that everybody better really pay attention to all those emails they get about changes that are coming and pay attention to them, and stay ahead of them to be able to stay on top of things.
Sure. Good point.
So can mailers do anything now to prepare for those changes, or are they kind of having to wait?
Well, that's a challenge. They're having to wait because the regulations haven't been published yet. I think that the good news here is that Satori customers are going to be covered pretty well. We are way on top of all these changes. We have a staff of people who pretty much spend 100% of their time being involved in postal regulations and staying up on top of them. And we're already preparing information to be able to go out to all of our customers to be able to give them plenty of time to be able to implement them.
Great. Let's see, here's a question for Richard and Michael. You mentioned that you use the PostSoft suite of products. What's your experience been like working with a single vendor that provides you both pre-sort and post-sort solutions?
What's the value, or what's our experience?
What's your experience and value?
Well, we've worked with multiple for much of our lives, and actually, our predecessor company first started buying postal automation software in the 80s. So we've probably been with 2 or 3 different vendors. There's a great deal of value in having one platform, and having that software work together is very important. It's not to say that you can't get away with multiples. If you've got another, you got another front end that you're using, and you're a little worried about trying Monticello, I would say that's okay. You can probably definitely can make it work. Certainly is very beneficial that we're using Satori for everything. It's worked for us, yeah, definitely.
Great. What's your what has been your customer experience with those other vendors that you had in the past, since you talked about having multiple?
They were in the beginning, and I go back to Group 1. I don't know if you remember a company called Group 1. I don't even know what they are anymore, if they're still around. And maybe Joe remembers. I don't know if you're my age, Joe.
I worked there.
You worked there? Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Well, that's where we started. And then we moved through the process of a number of different products, and actually kind of got to Satori through, I don't know, we were Business Objects for a period of time, which became SAP, which is now you guys. So some of that is good. It's really good for us because SAP probably had the least, how do I should say it, concerning customer. Yeah. They're focused on very, very large enterprises, and this was just one little bucket for them. And I think that we're fortunate that Satori's focus is on the mailing industry. That's important for what we do.
We tend to be a little bit of high maintenance. So.
Well, everybody should.
We demand a lot of attention.
I would say that everybody who's listening, or any of your clients or potential clients, everybody wants to believe that they're the only one in the world, and they're the only one. But Satori does a very nice job of taking care of us and providing that one-on-one service that you need when you run into those, challenges, those technical challenges. So I would highly recommend it for others in our industry.
Great. That looks like that's all the questions we got for this session. Any final last words for our listeners out there?
No, Switch.
No. Guys, I really appreciate you taking the time to be inundated with my questions, and the answers have been very much appreciated. And wish everybody a happy holiday.
Yep, you too. Everybody on the call, thank you. Thanks for taking the time.
Thank you.
All right. I do want to note a couple of things before we all sign off. After the presentation, please take a few minutes to complete our short survey. Your feedback will help us improve the quality of our webinars moving forward. And as a reminder, this webinar is being recorded and will be available shortly along with the presentation slide deck on our website. You can find this session along with many others on our Archive Sessions page under the Learn tab. All right, and thank you all for tuning in, and we hope you have a great rest of the day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.